What happens in our neurobiology when we have a Kundalini awakening? How is it even possible to achieve a permanent Kundalini awakening that triggers the heart, opens up the heart chakra? How it even looks like, what the experience is, and what are necessary steps to achieve that allows us to channel, and what even a channeling is. I had my very first Kundalini awakening on the 1st or 2nd of January in 2018. So I decided to process everything that happened to me ever since, and all of these ideas that I shared in my videos, I'm going to process it with AI, because AI can clarify or find the gaps in my logic, and I didn't process it with one AI. I have been processing these with 3 different AIs in their pro versions. And this video is going to be just a quick tease what I'm going to talk about next year, because it went into such a detail, it actually terrified me how accurate my thoughts were. And now you can see that, yeah, quantum science is exactly the same, neurobiology is exactly the same. You see it right. That is actually terrifying. And this is what I intend to share in this video very quickly and in next year in depth, because I believe it's going to accelerate our understanding, because it shows the building blocks of it. When we talk about Kundalini energy and Kundalini awakening, we generally talk about a temporary one, when there is an energetic line in the middle of you and you try to bring it up to gamma brainwaves. But the one I'm talking about is something that is naturally created by syncing different parts of your mind and different parts of your nervous system, and it's going to be an integrating outcome basically, and you are going to remain there permanently. And that's very different. It's not something that is forced, it's not something that is induced. It's an integration process that creates a permanent shift in your neurobiology. In order to get a sense of it, we have to understand brainwaves. We have gamma. These are these core brainwaves. These are these unfiltered ones. These are the ones that connect us to the deepest unconscious. Then above that, we have theta brainwaves. This is when we are very, very emotional. People who are in a bipolar or borderline personality disorder, that's where they are very, very connected to. So basically, they are stuck in a traumatic loop. Then over that, we have alpha. And this is going to be a very interesting one, that alpha is somewhat different than all the other ones. It creates a bridge between theta and beta. And beta is our cognition. People have very, very head type people with narcissistic personality disorder or narcissistic traits. They are stuck in beta and they repress theta. And when you look at personality disorders, the one that is going to be common in all of them, they are all lack of alpha brainwaves. Alpha is the one that helps you filter out things, and at the same time, it's basically a bridge in between these states. So if you want to be integrated, if you want to be in the present moment, this is the very one that you need to cultivate. This is something that you can learn. It's a skill to work on your alpha brainwaves, to connect the bridge between the cognitive consciousness and your somatic consciousness. And above that, we have gamma. Gamma is different. Gamma is unity. It unites the whole system. It has the ability to connect all of these synchronized brainwaves. And this is the one that opens up your crown chakra and you are able to channel things. And although it feels that the information is coming from above, but in reality, what it means when you connect all of these brainwaves, in reality, it goes deep. So the information is coming actually from a delta brainwaves or even underneath that. But it kind of goes in a way as of duality, and the brains can even show us that the highest and the lowest becomes very, very active. That the higher awareness you have, the lower you are able to basically see within, but only if it's connected, only if it's integrated. And that is basically Kundalini awakening and channeling. So when the Kundalini awakening happens, basically this is exactly what you are doing. And this is what I have done. Look, it's going to be different for everyone. I can only say my own process that I have processed through with all of these AI tools. I had the exact steps. I have messages, why this text message even created it, what did I do, which parts of my brain were working, why I had this energy like blowing out of my heart. I have the answer for that as well. And what exactly happened at that moment in my brain, how these parts connected. So as a human, we all operate in a sense that there is an agreement between a somatic self and between the cognitive self. So when you grow up, basically there is one pattern and you keep repeating that one pattern. And even when you change, I'm not saying everyone, but most people remain in the same basically dance. And my dance was, as a young adult until age 27, I was closest to covert narcissistic personality disorder or traits. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to use these terms just to make it easier, which means that you are in, or I was in, very, very dominant beta brainwaves, someone who keeps controlling the self. It's a type of person who is afraid of emotional flow. So basically, theta is blocked. A person who is very, very rigid and tries to do everything to basically please society, in a sense that they have this image that is expected from them. And if someone tries to say anything negative, look, this is coming from a really, really negative childhood where the parents are authoritarian, but it's coming from the society that is also authoritarian. So if you want to really understand toxic people, you have to really understand, if you look around, our society is toxic. It's as simple as that. And in order to move out, and I had to move out, there has to be a recognition. There has to be a breaking point. This is when your belief system breaks, but it has to come from within. That's why it's very important to understand that nobody can force another person to change. Or maybe you keep telling someone that this is not right, what you're doing, this would be better. No, they have to come to this conclusion, and their internal self is going to constantly communicate to them. Like, for example, I always felt that something was missing, although I had everything. And this was something that came to mind, and I didn't understand, why do I feel this way? And then slowly I started to become very disgusted from the way society operated. And I decided to break away from that way of thinking, from that way of belief. So basically, I went against my own self. I broke my own self. And it's very important to point out, it's not that you have an idea and by tomorrow you are going to be different. It took several years for me to change. And it's always, in a sense, that there will be always certain parts that will remain in you. You probably change most of it, and that's enough. Just change enough so you can start experiencing other parts of you. And I'm saying this stuff because it's very, very crucial in this Kundalini awakening that only a type of person could do that, who shifts. So basically, naturally, we have like this one pattern, but here I created two different patterns. And it's not only about brainwaves, it's also about the vagus nerve. We have a vagus nerve at the back of the body, and we also have a vagus nerve on the front of the body. And I moved from a type of person who is on the front part of the vagus nerve to a type of person who is on the back part of the vagus nerve. And throughout time, I moved into more like a borderline personality disorder person. It was with the twin flame connection. I believe it's very important that there is someone who pulls you, although I'm not sure if it's necessary. But this type of awareness system, basically this is the mammalian awareness system, is one-on-one relationship. So I believe this actually requires a close relationship, and this was with a twin flame connection when I was kind of pulled at the back of the body where these delta brain waves are, and this is where you have this huge theta flood, and you also have high beta. So this is where you are in a completely different type of mentality, basically, where all the emotions just come like a flood suddenly, and your brain is unable to block it. And this is where the key is, that a person who is naturally in either in a more narcissistic type of person or head type of person, or either at the back, so a more somatic type of person, could not have done it. I asked all types of AI exactly the same question. Could it be by someone else who is purely in one type? And it said, all of them said the same. The key here was, because I sent the exact text message I sent on the day I had the Kundalini awakening, that on that day I activated all these parts, all those parts that existed before, and all those parts that I had. Here I had the emotional ability to see my current self and my previous self that a head type person doesn't have. But too much emotional, and it was going to depth. That's the thing as well. It's not enough to be emotional, it's also how deep are you able to go. And this is the one who is able to go very, very deep. But at the same time, I had the ability to block the emotions, to observe them and articulate them in an analytical manner, and offer was the bridge in between them that created this calm state that I was able to communicate it. And on that night, so this is here, theta beta connected with alpha, the bridge. On that night I had the Kundalini awakening, and that's the key, that naturally we go into the peak delta brainwave state around 2 and 4 o'clock at night. And I don't remember when it exactly happened, but something after midnight. So then a delta went into a peak, and all of these connected and pushed me into gamma as well. And this is exactly what happened, the Kundalini awakening. And at the same time, there's another thing as well that gave this, the energy was blowing out of my heart. And what happened here was, when at the back of the body, so this is the back of the body vagus nerve, front of the body vagus nerve, I was emotional as, let's say, a borderline-ish. And I recalled the emotional state that I was unable to access when I was in a more narcissistic state. But from here, I could. So theta here and theta here, exactly at the same time, on the same frequency. Check this out, what happens. These two become coherent, they synchronize, and they create, I'm going to read it from the web, serotonin, creating a feeling of well-being. endorphins that are natural painkillers. At the same time, it also creates GABA, and what was blowing out, that was oxytocin. So basically, our nervous system is able to synchronize. And this is when you go from one state into a split state that you are able to integrate. But as soon as you do that, there is no more nervous system underneath, because here you have at the back and on the front. But as soon as you integrated that, this is basically the attachment system, then there is nothing underneath. You have your legs, but it's not a proper nervous system. And that's why in the next step, the next integration is going to be with a person. So it's your nervous system gets integrated with another person. This is my next step. And I was even told how to do that. And I have processed it with AI again, how accurate it was and would that make sense. And this next person triggered me in Delta. So Delta is your lowest type of brainwave. And when I said exactly what happened, what the trigger was, it said it was, it might felt different, but it was actually Kundalini energy that was triggered in me. And the process that I was told by your higher self, because this is what I can do ever since that I am able to connect to Gamma. Gamma is able to bring deep information to me that is universally true. And I was told that the process would be, and when I read it from the AI as an interpretation, and it makes perfect sense, I honestly just wanted to tear my hair out. Because the process was taught to me that with the opposite person, we have to sit face to face. And I didn't think why it was important, but it said because this is when your mirror neurons are the most active. So you already start synchronizing, especially when you mirror in that, there will be a natural synchronization. The next step is supposed to be that you start talking, you start sharing your weaknesses. And the goal here is to find the core, to find the exact same weakness. It's exactly the same what I did in the twin flame connection as one, that I try to find the sameness. And here it's again, you have to find the sameness. And what this process naturally does, it puts you into theta. Because in order to access these deep wounds, you have to be again in theta. You go down. But the process here is going to be different because you mirror, so it's already active, your data. You access your theta. But in order to access your theta, you have to communicate, because that's the key here, that you have to talk. Again, you have to analyze. You have to use your brain waves. But to be in the moment, you have to use alpha. So basically, that was the thing. It said that your heart will pull together. And this is exactly that would have happened, because as soon as it synchronizes, it opens up the heart simultaneously and it connects the two people. And if someone tells you this, that this is a process that you might have to go through, if you truly believe you are spiritual and you are very interested, all I can tell you is that the worst scenario that could happen, that nothing happens. But if you want to truly move forward, you are not just a lying hypocrite, then do this step, because this is actually very, very simple compared to the next step that has to be done. So if there is a process like this, that there has to be an integration, reality is going to go to a much deeper step. And that is going to be that it's no longer an agreement. It's going to push the one that is more aware to force the other one to be dragged along. And this is exactly what's happening to me. And one of them is this higher self that showed me what I have to do in order to trigger basically this person in the delta directly, because this comes to quantum entanglement. If one of them changes, the other one is going to change exactly at the same time, simultaneously, and you don't even have to be near each other. The other can be anywhere in the universe. And the process is that you connect to these energies that you are able to feel. I am able to feel these energies that are in a delta. They feel like it's in every single cell of my body, and it gives me like, this is what connects to it, that it's like it feels like I'm going to be erased or cease to exist. But it kind of means that the current version of myself will be just a memory, and a new version of me will emerge in my body. So it's not that I'm going to disappear or something like that. It's just my current self or current identity or current ego is going to be placed on the side, and it's no longer going to be what it is, because it's not that we are erasing it. It's just more like we place it on the side. There is another one that will grow up and you have to merge it. So basically it's going to be something different, but it's an important part to it. So what was shown to me, this energy, and I was told that I have to start embodying. So basically breathing, keep breathing in that rhythm. This is how it would come to life. And when I was just like, I'm not really sure, then I was showed a completely different method as well. And that's by remembering. Because when you remember, especially a past life, you have to go really, 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 really deep. So it's theta or even deeper, close to delta brainwaves. And this is what I was told. I have to remember him. And when I was told remembering means emotionally, that you relive in your body what happened. So basically you synchronize with that version of yourself that lived in that lifetime with that other person. So I don't know what happens after this process or what this process exactly looks like. It's something that nobody has done in this reality before. And this is a part I don't have neurobiology yet to explain, because I haven't gone through this process. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain from next year on exactly step by step how to see these brain waves, because they tell you a very, very interesting story. They help you really understand what we are supposed to do. Like even this mirroring in data is important, because when we see brain waves, they are going to behave very, very differently just because it's in a different gender. And this is what I believe, that this integration in data is actually the integration of masculine and feminine energies. So basically the masculine version of all brainwaves and the feminine version of all brainwaves, because they do completely different things and they focus on different things. So a feminine one is going to focus more inwardly, and a masculine one more externally. And if we have both, basically this is going to be a much stronger and a more sensitive system that is going to be able to see even more. So this was just a quick intro basically. I hope this video was very helpful for you. I wish you a very, very happy new year, and see you in my next video.